In a world filled with challenges and opportunities, it's not just about having big dreams, it's about having the right approach to turn those dreams into reality. Whether you're navigating the competitive landscape of business or seeking personal growth, it's all about the approach.
And welcome to our latest episode of The Approach. I am your host, Dr. Davis McAlister. We call this show The Approach because when I worked in military intelligence, our success and failure depended on taking the right approach. And on this show, we discuss aspects of leadership and problem solving and the approaches that have made our guests successful. My guest today is Jeremy Roadruck. He is a men's mentor and relationship strategist who has helped high-performing men reclaim their power, protect their empire, and prevent million-dollar divorces. A husband, a father, and a 6th-degree Kung Fu master, Jeremy guides men through the boy to man to king evolution, from guilt and blame to grounded presence to unstoppable leadership, and his approach is raw, real, and results-driven, helping men stop performing and start leading in the places that matter most: their marriage, their family, and their legacy. A multi-time best-selling author and international champion, Jeremy brings decades of mastery in mindset, communication, and emotional integration to every client. And through his book, Lead Like a King, Companion Self-Mastery Course, and Elite Consulting, he helps men transform disconnection into deep respect, admiration, and connection without shame, theory, or manipulation. Because winning the world means nothing if you lose your home. Life is too short for bad food, bad marriage, or bad business. So let's welcome to the stage Jeremy Roadruck. Welcome to the stage.
How you doing, Dr. Davis?
Good. Glad to have you on.
Yeah, I'm excited. I love what you're doing. The whole concept of the approach sets up so much framing for success or challenge, even just that word. The word carries so much weight. It sets up our approach.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll read your bio, but tell us a little bit more about who you are, where you've been, what your journey has been like, and how you've gotten to where you are now.
Yeah, where I am now, I've built success, unfortunately, the way a lot of guys do, and it's by outworking our pain and hopefully just keep ahead of it far enough, it won't ever catch up.
Yeah.
And so for a large part of my life, hitting targets, soldier, factory worker, Kung Fu master, champion, like accolade, right? Best-selling book. But I was building relationships that were empty, right? They were just, what's the next target? What's the next tactic? It's just accomplishment. And the relationships that mattered the most to me, especially my wife, like she didn't need more effort from me. She just needed me, like the real me to show up, the man behind the armor and the accomplishment and the stories. But I didn't know how to show up without losing control. And that confusion nearly cost me everything. And the turning point came when I realized it's not about communication. It's not about how I say it. It's the approach. It was the disconnection between us that was driving everything. And the disconnection to her, to myself, and really to the full truth, my mission, my purpose, like, what am I here to do? Because I had let myself become a provider, not a partner. And I was a performer, but I wasn't truly present in the relationships that mattered most. And that's what led me to develop what I call now Lead Like a King. And it's a roadmap to help men to reclaim their emotional authority, rebuild trust, and lead with power that doesn't crush love. And they actually go back to liking themselves again and liking how they show up. Today, I work behind the scenes with a lot of high-performing men, especially dads, and they've achieved everything on the list that they thought would make them happy. And they feel trapped, unseen, disconnected, and they start getting desperate. And I help them to end that war inside because I know that battle and I had it for a very long time. So they can finally be the man that they know they're fully capable of. Yeah.
So guide us on, because you talk, obviously your whole theme is around lead and being able to lead like a king. So if you would walk us through, what does that mean to lead like a king?
Yeah, it's about leading from an integrated place, from having a sense of presence first, be here, be now, be in this room.
Yeah.
Second is to be playful, because that's where you become creative and you become curious, you become open, and that's actually the doorway into true power. Because a lot of guys put power first and dominance and control and don't be seen, don't be manipulated, don't be all these things. And they know exactly what not to do. And it's cool. So how's that going to make your wife and kids feel safe?
Yeah.
It says, nah, dude, present first, be here in the reality, then be playful. And then
Yeah.
we can bring that power in, and that power actually serves you and your family. It creates a win-win. Because if we both don't win, this is not going to be sustainable.
Yeah. If you would kind of walk us through, I guess, some of the pain points that you had to go through to be able to get to this point.
Yeah, the biggest one, and a lot of guys are doing this. I just had a post go out and I got a bunch of feedback from it. Let me do more, let me provide more, let me accomplish more. Get the $30,000 kitchen and then she'll be happy. Get the vacation, then she'll be happy. And all of this, let me do the next thing. And yet the distance just grows. You're laying in bed to this person you love and this person you're sacrificing everything you are for. And even
Mhm.
though your bodies are inches apart, you feel your heart and your soul is like miles apart.
Yeah.
You don't know if the kids are truly learning the lessons you want because you're not there. Because even when you're in the room, you're on the phone. What's the next deal? What's the next post? What's the next connection?
Yeah.
And it's like that constant hunger of like, when is it going to be enough? When am
Yeah.
I going to finally arrive? Because there's always another hill.
Yeah.
And so many guys, and I was there too, of just like task. I'm
Mhm.
a state champion. Cool. We got to be national champion. Okay, cool. Now we got to go international. Cool. What's next? What's next? How can I get bigger? How can I? And that's what actually brought me out of competition into teaching. And as I started working with students as young as 3, I got a
Mhm.
lot of reality checks
Yeah.
because the kids don't care about what is supposed to happen. This giant training floor, and I just want to run around because it's huge and it's fun. And why do I have to listen?
Yeah.
I said so. Yeah, you're
Mhm.
boring. I'm gonna go over there. So that was that spark of I'm not gonna browbeat a 3-year-old now. And
Yeah.
it's like I have to be more creative, I have to be more playful, and I have to get ahead of them. And that's the whole thing with Lead Like a King. What
Mhm.
is your vision, dude? Like when I work with guys on their marriage, I'm like, cool, what's your relationship vision? What? Okay, I think I know why we have a problem.
Yeah.
Your business has a vision, quarterly, yearly, 5-year, 10-year plan. Awesome. What's going on in your marriage?
Yeah.
And I just get the deer in the headlight look of, huh?
Yeah.
That's a thing? Yes, sir. But yeah, that was like those struggles. And it's not just like I had them. I hear so many men struggling. I hear the same things coming up time and time again. And it's, dude, these are opportunities you can get defensive, or they can be
Mhm.
wake up calls and you can yell plot twist and you can expand.
Yeah.
Choice is yours.
Yeah. And I'm not in the family space like you are, but I know just in conversations that I've had with people, you have people that have created these companies and they have a mission statement, they have a vision statement, they even have a list of core values for their company that they want all their employees to abide by. But then you turn around and ask them, okay, so what are your core values for your home?
Dude,
And
what?
they're like, what are you talking about?
I put that actually when I wrote my first book was Your Best Child Ever is This Game Worth Winning. And I
Mhm.
put in there mission statement, vision statement for your family as exercises for that exact reason. Where are you going? Like with my parents, I was pregnancy number 7 of 10, and only
Wow.
2 of us lived. So you would think helicopter parents, bulldozer parents, you'd think they would have kept us safe. But for
Mhm.
my parents, their goal for my brother and I was make your own decisions, live with the consequences. They wanted that in us by the time we were 18, which then meant they had to let us mess stuff up. They
Yeah.
had to let us take risks because how are we going to teach that skill otherwise?
Yeah.
And so if we don't have that vision in our intimate life, in our parenting, in our marriage, where are we going? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. So totally important conversation.
It's funny, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and we were called latchkey kids. And so the concept of growing up was figure it out.
Don't die. See you later. Bye.
We're considered the feral generation. I include me included. My parents were almost non-existent for the majority of the time that I was growing up. And then unfortunately, it had a negative effect later on.
Yeah.
But there was a quote by Zig Ziglar that I heard one time. He said, "You're doing all these things to climb to the corporate ladder. And when you get to the top of the ladder, you come to realize that you were climbing the wrong ladder."
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, who are you going to grow old and moldy with? The people you're
Yeah.
working with or some other people, maybe?
Yeah.
Because, like in the dad space, dads, when they start dealing with
Mhm.
teenagers, if for those of you listening who don't have teenagers yet, teenagers have their own opinions. And they know when I'm 18, I can leave. And how many years until I'm 18? So I don't really have to listen to you
Yeah.
anymore. And
Yeah.
if all you have is positional authority and because I said so and pain to force compliance, all
Mhm.
you're doing is eroding and damaging your relationship with these young ladies and gentlemen. and they can leave at 18 and never come back.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with power first is, but I'm right. And you may be exactly right, but
Mhm.
you got to finesse it, dude. How can you guide them to that understanding? And
Yeah.
so that's where a lot of parenting, it is business influence,
Yeah.
rapport, vision, values, alignment. If you can do that with your teenagers, you will weather these storms so much more easily
Yeah.
because you have a strategy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because there's kind of a phrase out there, I guess, for lack of a better term, that they say when you're in your teens, you think you know everything. When you're in
Mhm.
your 20s, you know everything. When you're 30s, you start to question what you know. And once you get past 40 to 50, you realize I really don't know much of anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna go find it while we're talking, but I've got this great quote from Mark Twain about his dad.
Because I had one of the things that we have found, my wife and I are now have found ourselves to be empty nesters here in the last few months. And one of the most difficult things, every parent thinks that their phase that they're in is the most difficult as their
Mhm.
kids are growing up.
Yep.
And I would venture to say that the hardest phase is the phase when your kids are now adults, but they still make some of the same decisions and have the same thought processes of how they made decisions when they were younger. But
Yep.
the problem is that you have no control over the consequences. Yeah. And you have to sit and watch whatever the results are for their decisions.
Yeah, and you can be a sounding board, but sometimes you're not invited to that conversation, and you watch them just they're gonna run right into a wall,
Yeah.
but you're not invited, and if you speak up too soon or too early, "What, you think I can't handle this, dad? Back off. What's the
Yeah.
problem here? You raised me. I know what I'm doing." It's, "Yeah, you're a little too big for your britches here, kid."
Yeah. I like that show, Yellowstone. The character that Kevin Costner played in there was a point where he said, there's going to come a point where you're going to have a conversation with your son, and that conversation is going to determine the course of your relationship from that point on. And he was absolutely right. It's having those conversations with your kids. All it's going to take is that one conversation, and you can either wreck it or you can recover it.
And the whole father and son dynamic, we've got the Cat Stevens song, Father and Son, and describing
Mhm.
the dynamic there.
Yeah.
Paul Ocherson has or Sam Ocherson has some great books on finding our fathers. And like that relationship of we want to follow in our dad's footsteps to a degree,
Yeah.
but at the same time, we got to forge our own kingdom. And that's part of this whole journey when I talk with my clients on Lead Like a King is y- it's not that you need to kill the man that you thought your dad wanted you to be or whoever your father figure was, but it's you have to evolve and grow through
Yeah.
because he could only see so far and he could only see so much. And so his vehicle to safety and stability and security was blah. And
Mhm.
you're coming from another generation standing on his shoulders. Don't forget where you came from, but you can see farther. So
Mhm.
sometimes as a younger person, you have to bridge to that previous generation just to say, I love you and I respect you and I admire you. Trust me with the tools you've given me to forge the next steps, to go the next mile.
Yeah.
And it's a delicate conversation because for pretty much all of us, it's a first time experience. When we die and come back and get to live again, we'll do it right the next time. So until
Yeah.
then, roll the dice.
Yeah. And with some of the men that you've worked with and helping them navigate their journey there and trying to find their way back, how many did you find that were inadvertently following a generational curse that they weren't even aware that they were following? Because there's even some that they're like, I'm not going to do the same thing that my parents did or my dad did. And then come to find out they're doing exactly what they did.
And it's actually most
Yeah.
because basically with guys, there's three people inside us. There's a boy, there's a man, and there's a king. And the boy is all about safety and security and
Yeah.
playfulness. But when we're not in a healthy place, we get locked in fault and blame, guilt and shame, and
Mhm.
self-sabotage.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we struggle with who am I to achieve more or do better, quote unquote, than my
Mhm.
parents. They set the standard and I'm going to outperform them. Who am I to be smarter than them? Who am I to be more capable than them? And there's a guilt that comes with that. But they did the best they knew how with what they had available. And tell me about what's going on with your grandparents and your great
Yeah.
grandparents. Go back a couple generations, look at the standard and how it's grown. So, yeah, your parents may not have done everything perfectly for you because you were a work in progress and they never met you before. And so they
Mhm.
were figuring you out as you were figuring yourself out. But at the same time, it's you now have a context. They gave you an example and a standard. You can completely abandon it. And guess what? you're now running completely flying blind, and under pressure, you're going to default back to their standards because you haven't replaced it or improved it. Or what can we appreciate? What was good? And then what can we tweak? What can we expand? Where can we get support to do things in a different way, but intelligently, instead of just wholesale? They were train wrecks. They were horrible people.
Yeah.
If that was the case, you never would have made it past babyhood, because there's this thing called failure to thrive. And babies who don't get a basic amount of love, attention, and food cease to exist.
Yeah.
We ignore them when they cry. They learn nobody cares if I do anything. It doesn't matter. I don't matter. And babies will wither away. So the fact that you made it past birth and made it into toddlerhood, they cared on some level, even if it wasn't the way you wanted or to the degree you wanted or how you would have done it. Cool. Appreciate them and their journey. And what are you going to do different specifically? And that's how we begin to shift and break those generational patterns, because until you integrate it, until the unconscious is made conscious, it drives our lives and we call it fate.
Yeah.
But once we see the pattern, now we have choice, awareness. Then you got to accept the thing. But then you can begin to appreciate it. And that's how we begin to pull it apart.
Yeah.
Because if you appreciate it, and two sides to appreciate: gratitude, thank you for the example of what I don't ever want to be, but still I can express that as a grateful place. But also acceptance, awareness, appreciation. It can mean gratitude, but appreciation can also mean relating. Like, I can relate. I can't say exactly the same, but I've been through something similar. Once you get that relationship piece, you begin to start understanding, and you can start building bridges.
Yeah. It's kind of like, have you ever heard the analogy of the ham?
Yes. Yeah. The holiday ham and great grandma back in the day. Yeah.
Used to cut both ends of the ham off. And the husband said, why did they do that? I don't know. Maybe it made it taste better. And then finally the wife went back and asked, and says the reason was because she didn't have a pan big enough to be able to hold the ham. So she had to cut it off.
Yeah. And that's Thomas Merton talks about that in No Man is an Island: tradition versus convention.
Yeah.
And convention is the ossified dead husk of formality that we follow blindly and cling to. Tradition should be reinvented every generation, but it should call you to account. It should grab you by your nose hairs and make you stand up and pay attention. It should make you uncomfortable. It should make you squirm.
Yeah.
And so it's like, whenever you get caught up in the conventional way of living, same old do it, don't ask, don't question, we'll be safe, like you're burying your head in the sand.
Yeah.
That story, the Christmas ham, for me is exactly that difference.
Yeah.
There's principles your parents were living by that they did their best to teach you, good, bad, or sideways.
Yeah.
What was the point they were trying to get to? If you can understand that, now you've got the skill to really accentuate all the good stuff and take it forward. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I said so doesn't translate very well in the relationship.
Kids need that when they're little. They need that solidity and stability.
Yeah.
But after about 9 to 12, you got to have a better answer.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Did you find your quote you were looking for from Mark
I
Twain?
did. Let me pull it back up. It's Mark Twain. And he said, when I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant, I could hardly stand to have the old man around. But when I got to be 21, I was astonished at how much the old man had learned in the last 7 years. Yeah. Really? Your dad learned so much?
Yeah. I've told my kids, I said, you just wait, because I've got grandkids now, and I've told them, I said, you just wait. The older you get, the smarter I'm going to get.
Yeah. I have to remind myself sometimes, I'm the dumbest now I will ever be 10 years from now. So if I can figure out the answer 10 years in the future now, I saved myself a decade. Cool. So what would I think different in 10 years? Crap, I don't know. So I'm still working on that sometimes.
So when you're working with people and you're talking about developing that leadership skill within the home, what do you give them, or what do you introduce to them as far as the problem solving matrix that they need to be able to help make that successful?
Yeah. So the first step is take a deep breath, because we got to shift out of reactionary mode and into responding. So we have to get out of fight or flight. Unless there's a fire, emergency physically, take a deep breath for a second. You've got time to take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And my approach is really simple. It's finding what works at home and what works at work, right? Not titles, and it's not tactics, and it's not positioning. It's not because I said so.
Yeah.
It's about congruence, right? So it's how to have what I call king energy, which is the ability to create safety and direction simultaneously.
Yeah.
It's how you have calm authority and you turn relationships into partnerships because you're here, you're centered. And that deep breath is the first step. And then roll your shoulders back, standing tall. Make sure there's no tension in you first. Because
Yeah.
if you're tense, you're going to protect that tension. You're going to defend. You can't show up for someone else when you're closing off yourself.
Yeah.
So open up and be in this place. And so then it's not about asking them to go places you've never gone. How do I lead them through this? And it's
Yeah.
usually intelligent questions. And as a leader, put yourself in a position of inferiority. Help me
Yeah.
understand. Walk me through the logic. How did you arrive at that conclusion? I'm confused. And once you've done that, you've given them back power to think through their own stuff. And then you can just put guardrails and walk them through the feedback and just clarifying. And then how did that lead to? Okay, what did that make possible? And it's really the big piece, staying in what and how questions instead of why questions. Why a lot of times devolves into justification, rationalization, and they spin their wheels.
Yeah.
Oh, what do we need to do different? How can we improve this? How can we make sure this doesn't happen again?
Yeah.
Not what were you thinking? Why did you do that? I was scared and I didn't want to lose my job and I knew you were going to yell at me. So they're not going to tell you any of that stuff.
Yeah.
They're going to have to hide. So we have to make it safe to talk to us. And that's that whole, all right, I'm here. Tell me more.
Times that you can tell me if I'm right or wrong with this approach, but there was times that when my children had done something that I was clearly upset about, angry, whatever you want to call it. And they're standing there waiting for me to just let them have it. And I would just tell them, go to your room. I will come talk to you when I'm ready. And I would just, because I did not want to handle things in a heightened state of emotion. And that was something I had to learn because obviously being a young parent, you learn your lessons the hard way. But there was also an element of that. That's the way I was raised as far as just the emotional outburst
Right.
coming right at you and saying things that you shouldn't because you're angry. And I never, because it's just like that analogy of the piece of paper where your kids are concerned. If you take that paper and crumple it up and then say, I'm sorry, and trying to flatten it back out, it's still not the same.
It still got
And
crumpled. Yeah. So the only thing I would tweak on that is before you send the kids to the room, look, I love you. I'm not going to talk to you like this. We'll figure this out. You need to go to your room until we're both in a better place to talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only thing that does is that frames, I love you. We're going to figure it out. We're still on the same team,
Yeah.
but get out of my freaking face because I don't want to explode on you. Like you're
Yeah.
allowed to feel that stuff, but then you're also allowed to choose not to drive from that energy state.
Yeah.
So definitely what a buddy of mine's dad did, he told me this when we were training Kung Fu, his dad would make him stand and bend over and grab his ankles. And then his dad would walk back and forth behind him and just yell at him and harangue because it was just like how he processed.
Yeah.
And then, but he never hit him, never anything like that. But it was just you're standing there, bent over, holding your ankles while your dad's yelling at you. And then when he's done, he like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. And then years later, he was like, Dad, what was the point of that? And he's, my dad beat me. I was never gonna hit you, but I was so mad I didn't know what else to do. And honestly, you standing there holding your ankles, it just made me like laugh, and I couldn't stay mad for very long.
Yeah.
And so it's that generation, like we're raising standards. We're doing better than the previous. That's where if we knew how grandfather handled things,
Yeah.
even though what dad did wasn't the best for us, it was a lot better than what he got. So that's elevation. Thank you. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand it. And send your kids to your room and is dad mad at me? Is he gonna send me off to China? Am I going to a military school now? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like sometimes not doing anything can actually ratchet up the tension. So just that, I love you. We're going to figure this out, but I'm not in a place we can talk.
Yeah.
So go to your room. I'll come get you when I'm ready.
Yeah. And it was interesting too, raising 5 kids because the same tactic didn't work with every kid. You know, I had some of my kids, you could sit there and chew them out and they'll just stand there and blink at you. And then my youngest daughter, all I had to do was just look at her. She would just break down and start crying.
Yeah.
And it's that thing you can raise all your kids with the same values, but you can't discipline them the same.
No. And that right there, even what is discipline, right? Is it an act or is it a skill?
Yeah.
Because if we approach, I have to discipline my kid, then it's an act that we're performing on them versus it's a skill they have to cultivate. It changes the way we play the game of life and love and everything, because it's like, kid, I love you. I love your effort, but this was not okay. And because you did this, now look at these consequences. So you got a mess. You got to clean up. How are you going to make restitution? How are you going to fix this for people?
Yeah.
So I don't need to punish my kid, but I need them to understand the web of impact on the actions. But that works with a kid who cares about their actions and the impact, because that would not have worked on me when I was a kid, because not my problem.
Yeah.
I could disassociate so fast from things, but you inconvenience me. So I was the kid, put me in my room with nothing to do, I'm going bonkers. That's the worst thing ever. But lecture me, guilt me, I don't care. You're not going to get, that doesn't reach me in the slightest. Yeah.
Did you ever, or have you had to work with a dad that they've put everything in their career and they've neglected their families to the point where it was an insurmountable mountain of trying to get his family back because he was just out on an island by himself where that was concerned?
It hasn't been. So the question I have for a guy in that situation is, can they still get mad at you? Are they willing to tell you about it? Because and the same thing, guys at the edge of divorce with wives, does she still get mad? Does she tell you about it? Because if they can get mad, as crazy as it sounds, they still care. They still want you to know that you hurt them. There's some part of them that's still grieving, that's still attached. People think love and hate are opposites, and they're not. Love and hate are two forms of passion, positive and negative. The opposite of either is apathy. It's nothing. And so if they can get mad, cool. And they tell you about it, also cool, because that's the doorway to healing. They still want to be heard. There's a part of them that still hopes and wants and wishes that we were on their team. Now, you have to apologize in such a way that it heals them. And then you have to spend the rest of your life rebuilding trust. And if you get mad about that, do you want to be right or do you want to get results? Because if you want to get the result, then you will eat crow and you will crawl on broken glass if that's what's required, because they are testing your commitment, because they don't believe what you say. We need actions.
Yeah.
We need a preponderance of evidence that you truly have changed at a very deep level. And then if I get a guy that's giving me resistance on that, but he's justifying himself, I'm like, dude, you have every right to be where you are. But if you keep doing what you've always done, what are you going to get?
No.
So do you want to be right or do you want to get results?
Yeah.
Okay, then you have to grow. You have to expand. You have to appreciate their point of view, and they are allowed to feel the way they feel. Hell, they're even justified in the way they feel, even if it's based on false information, because their model of the world is equally as valid as yours. And you want to build a relationship with them. They don't have to listen to you just because you're dad, just because you paid for it. No, that's all entitlement. Get over yourself, dude.
Yeah, it was funny. I was having a conversation with somebody earlier today that every time there was some things that I was trying to help this individual work through, and every time that I said, okay, this is the steps that you should take. This is the steps you should take next. All I got back was, yeah, but. And I finally got to the point where I was like, all right, everything that I have said to you, all you have responded back with is, yeah, but. And what all that means is that everything that you said before but means absolutely nothing, because now you just have an excuse. So are you really committed to changing and making it better? Or are we just going to continue to waller in our yeah buts?
Yeah. And that's why I have the question, do you want to be right or do you want to get results? Okay, cool. So explain to me how what you're doing is getting you results. It's not. Okay, great. So tell me more about how that's going to work if you do it more. And I have to walk them through and exhaust that line of thought inside them. And then in the models that I use, when I'm getting those yes buts, there's a deeper or higher motivation. There's something that either hasn't been fully uncovered or it hasn't been brought to consciousness. There's a resistance or a doubt or a fear, or there's a context that they haven't fully admitted. And until they admit it, awareness, and then they accept it. Because if they're aware but reject, then we can't make progress.
Yeah.
And so I got to walk through the logic with them and just help me understand. Maybe I'm missing something. I've only been doing this for 30 years. I've only helped people for decades, and I've only worked with people from 3 to 94. So you could do something I haven't seen or heard before, but please help me understand, walk it through.
Yeah.
because I want to get where you're coming from, because there's resistance inside you. Then there's a lack of trust. There's a lack of clarity, or there's something still unresolved. There's a guilt or shame that you're still burying that we got to go find and clean up.
Yeah.
And once we get to that level of where the fault and blame and the guilt and shame, like, where does that stuff live? I have processes. Let's go resolve it at that source, at that level, and then we can build. And I'll know that it works because I stopped getting the yes buts, or I stopped getting the justifications. It's the could that, would that. And that's, we got the frame to open back up. We've actually opened their nervous system to be able and be available. I have a client I talked to this week, and no, I've forgiven my wife, but he doesn't want to be physical with her all that much. He doesn't want to hold her hand all that much. Usually when you're healed, you focus on the positive and self and for the future, and there's no thought of negative, others, or the past. So if you're so fully healed and you've fully forgiven her, why is there a resistance to hold her hand while you guys are driving in the car?
Yeah.
And he just kind of looked at me. I was like, oh damn, I don't think I've fully accepted this yet. I'm like, you said it.
Yeah.
I'll never say I'm right. I'll say when you're right, and I think you're right.
What's the next set of steps that you guide people through?
Yeah. So most guys, they react when things go wrong, they go to a panic because they worst case it, and they go into a cascade, amygdala hijack, cortisol, all the stress hormones. So I teach the opposite: slow down, breathe. And then we got to locate the real issue, right?
Yeah.
Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, social, like what's driving this reaction, so that we can start to respond instead.
Yeah.
So every problem that I've seen is either a systems issue or a story issue. Systems are pretty easy to fix. I call them games. And it's a time, a space, an energy, or it's a how we score points. So there's 4 pieces to building a game. And then with stories, those are our old BS, our old belief systems that are running the reactions. We got to get into that to own it and recalibrate it. And so then we do like a leadership triage. So before we fix it, we diagnose what's the energy leak. Is it the boy? Is it the fault, the blame, the guilt, the shame, the self-sabotage? Is it the man and its identity and presence and power? Or is it the king and we're talking about vision, protecting, and providing?
Yeah.
So what layer of threat or impact or tension or stress are we operating in, so that we can bring the appropriate resources or the appropriate people to bear to frickin' kill the issue once and for all?
Yeah. Have you had it where you've been working with somebody and you got them to the point where they're better leaders at home, and then they realized that they were not as good of leaders as they thought they were in business, and they had to revamp how they led their business as well?
Yes. Yeah, because when you start to become with kids, especially puberty and teenagers, if you want a genuine relationship with them, you have to be an influential leader, and it requires appreciation and rapport and vision and values and all these cool things. Great. So now you're telling me about this work situation and when it blew up. If they were your teenagers, break it down for me.
Yeah.
Bink, and the eyeballs light up like, oh dang. But I pay them, and they're professionals, and they're human beings. So what is their inner child doing? Their inner boy or their inner girl? Do they feel safe? Do they feel creative? Do they feel playful?
Yeah.
Because our job as leaders is to remove the resistance for them to be their best selves, because they're doing the job because they like it, they love it, it means something to them.
Yeah.
Are we hamstringing their highest performance because of our structure, because of our strategy, because of our fears, because of that's not how I learned to come up and do it? That's why we're open to this. That's why you have me in your board of advisors, is to ask these questions, because is it illegal? Is it going to get anybody killed? Maybe we should explore that a little bit and see, learn something. Yeah. And it's fun to see the bridge between, because I have the influential leader at work who's the positional authority and comes home and is still in work mode and is just this autocrat and get it done. And we're going to produce bedtime. We're going to produce happy kids, and we're going to produce sleep. Let's go, kid. It's time for bed, on schedule.
Yeah.
I wonder why that's not working, dude. Not that I've been there before myself.
Yeah.
A couple of times.
I'll always like asking this question because I never know what I'm going to get. And some of the guests that I've had on this show, man, some of the responses I get to this question just are absolutely flooring. What is the most difficult decision when you're leading people that you've ever had to make?
I closed my martial arts school after 17 and a half years.
Mm.
And it was just a little bit past COVID. I'm a disciple in my system. I'm part of a 1500-year tradition. I've literally traveled the world. I've gone to China, Korea, throughout the Canada, just competed. Like, I've done everything for 30 years. And for about 17 or 18 of those years, I was training 7 days a week. Like, I was just full bore, full tilt. And I came in at 20 years old, just this angry ball of just everything.
Yeah.
And martial arts was the thing that helped put me back together and integrate body, mind, emotion, spirit, like everything. And I'm still very involved with my instructor. I'm going up next month to finish off a couple books with him. And we're looking next year to do some workshop series with the branch schools around the world. But when my daughter was born, my priorities shifted. I love teaching and I love helping, but I get 18 years with her as a
Yeah.
kid. That's it.
Yeah.
That's her childhood. And then she's an adult and she has the rest of her life. And she was born 14 weeks early, 1 pound, 1.8 ounces. She was in the NICU for 13 weeks, 2 days.
Wow.
They said twice, don't plan on taking her home because maybe she has necrotizing intestines. So her intestines are dying because she's not pooping. No, she
Yeah.
just has a really slow gut,
Yeah.
thankfully. But we had a couple moments of we're not sure what's going to happen next. I've wanted to be a dad since I was 9 years old. Didn't happen until I was 39.
Yeah.
I love my Kung Fu family, but something shifted in me and I kept the school going another 6.5 years. But once COVID hit and things got really difficult, I just wasn't there the same way. And it wasn't fair to anybody to try to keep the school open because I felt pulled somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it was bittersweet because I moved my school. But when I built the school where I did, there was 2 weeks where I was in 5 in the morning to 11 at night,
Mm.
putting up drywall, sanding, painting, like just everything,
Mhm.
fabricating. I literally put everything I had into it. And to close it
Yeah.
and to feel, I just recently, I was back in town a couple of weeks ago because my favorite restaurant closed and they were like right down the street from my school and they've been
Mhm.
there for 30 years. And I realized I've been going to that place for 15 years because that's when I found it.
Yeah.
I never fully grieved the school closing because I was on to the next thing
Yeah.
and I got to keep moving forward. Yeah. So deciding and realizing like, where am I the most passionate, the most helpful? And even though it's uncomfortable and there's no guarantees,
Yeah.
I can't keep doing this thing that I've been just so driven to do for literally decades.
Yeah.
I have to do this other thing.
Yeah.
And credit to my Sifu. He didn't punish me, make me wrong, didn't withhold. I don't know that this is the right decision, but I trust you and I believe in you, which
Yeah.
is, I'm one of the 4 top masters in our family on the planet. And I'm not as present as I used to be, but that's like his respect and his trust in me.
Yeah.
It's cool stuff.
That's tough. And to be able to just take that much of your life and be able to set it aside, everything that you invested in that. I can only imagine how difficult that is because there's people that I see that they're trying to make a decision on they want to start a new venture. Do I leave my job? Trying to weigh the options of, hey, I got a guaranteed paycheck versus now it's all up to me. What advice would you have for people that are going through that same similar situation on how to make that decision?
Yeah. Pull the Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind. Go to the end of your life. You're on your deathbed.
Yeah.
And what do you want people to say about you?
Yeah.
What do you want people to remember about you? What do you want your family to say? And he toughed it out in middle management until he was old and moldy, and then he
Yeah.
keeled over. Is that the story you want? And maybe you do, because that job gave you the stability to be present and provide for your family. Maybe that's the right way. And then you join SCORE later and you work in the small business administration and you mentor other business owners. Maybe that's what you do.
Yeah.
But it really is that ownership of what is going to make me respect myself on my deathbed. And that was a life well lived. That was a good purpose. That was a great game
Yeah.
play. Start from there. And then you can begin to work backwards and go, okay, I want to achieve at this level or be in this place. who are the best and brightest minds I can find or connect to? What podcasts can I listen to? What consultants and coaches can I hire? Who can I be around? What books can I read? Because there's ladders that you can climb. You don't have to invent fire. You don't have to invent the wheel. You can stand on someone's shoulders and get ahead a little bit. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting close to our time here. What kind of thoughts do you have at this point? Anything that we haven't covered or anything that you really would like to be able to bring out and tell the audience?
What I would tell you is pretend you only get one shot at life, one shot at love, one shot at your career. Pretend there's only one time and there's no do-overs and there's nothing waiting on the other side. It's just this moment, and that's all. Life is only the next breath because you're not guaranteed the breath after that. I've collapsed my lung twice. I've been hospitalized twice for just my body trying to kill me.
Yeah.
Walking down the stairs in my house, I could pop a lung. I could be dead in 24 hours. So what are you going to do with it? Are you truly utilizing it? Because we're recording this on October 30th of 2025. You're only going to get one October 30th of 2025 in your whole entire life. Did you use it, or did you lose it, or did you abuse it?
Yeah.
And it's on you. What is your vision? What is your purpose? What is your passion? Knowing that, you can now say today was well lived. What were your magic moments? What made it today was the reason to get out of bed?
Yeah.
And if you don't have that answer and you're not going to bed yet, go find it today, because today's not over. And if you're getting ready to go to bed, dream, what could you do different tomorrow? And how can you start with a higher sense of intention, a higher sense of purpose, a deeper passion? Because it's your choice. It's your story that you are writing with your own actions, your own mouth every single day.
Yeah.
Is it taking people forward? Is it pulling people back? Is it taking you forward?
Yeah. It's that idea of don't live a life of regrets.
Discipline is pounds. Regret is tons.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to carry?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people I've come across that have, and there's some instances even in my own life that I've looked back and it was like, you know what, I wish I'd made a little different decision. But knowing how some things have gone, it was still the right decision. But I can't tell you how many people I've come across that they're just living a life of regret because everything that they thought they would like to do, they never did.
You know what? Now that you're aware, y'all plot twist and do something different.
Yeah.
You're not dead yet. So don't give up.
It's amazing to me the number of people too that they have lived in such a rut, or they poured everything into just one thing their entire life. And then that one thing is not there anymore. And then you ask them, okay, so what do you want to do in life? What do you enjoy? What do you want to, do you have a hobby? No,
No.
they don't
Yeah.
have anything.
When I'm dealing with somebody in that kind of situation and all they can see is what they don't have, I'm like, cool, what would you hate to have? What would make you want to kill yourself? Let's start
Yeah.
there then. Because if the idea of something positive, they can't even imagine, they're so in the dark, cool.
Mhm.
But you haven't ended yourself yet, so something's keeping you alive. Let's go find that. And what would
Yeah.
you hate to do? And then what's the opposite of that? And we can start to build. We just get some traction. Like, how do you climb? You need resistance. You need something to hook into, to hold on to pull against. If there's nothing to hold on to, there's no friction, there's no movement. But you need a little bit of grit. You need a little bit of uncomfortable. That's okay.
Yeah.
Now, what do we do with it? And how do we
Yeah.
utilize it? Well, where do you want to go? Where would you hate to go? Let's start with that then, if that's easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that you're talking about, taking people that and trying to transition them back into that mindset where they're leading their families, it's such a redefining mark of what they think success is, and trying to completely and for a lot of people it's a complete 180. They have a hard time drawing that parallel.
That's why they need someone like me to help support that journey. Someone like you to be a sounding board to push against.
Yeah.
Because go to a place you've never been, do a thing you've never done, go. How do I do that? Oh, okay. Do you want help with that? Love to help. We
Yeah.
can get there. And because we've been doing this so long, we can get you there faster than you might think possible. I pivoted marriages in one conversation.
Yeah.
And like from sexless to being intimate, one conversation with him, he had one conversation with her, they're in bed that night. And it's like, how did it be that fast? They're playing a game. And the game he was trying to win, she wasn't going to let him win. Cool. Don't play that game anymore. Play a different game.
Yeah.
And as long as your heart's in the right place, it's fine. We'll get there. It's okay. My confidence can become your confidence. My certainty can become your certainty. And we just get there. Or we find out she's absolutely not the right person for you, which is good to know too. Because would you rather find that out in 10 years or sooner?
Yeah. How often have you had those clients where you've had to just finally tell them, say, look, I can't help you until you're willing to help yourself?
Yeah, I get those probably 1 in every 20. We've done enough due diligence ahead of time, and they're in enough pain that they've done stuff. I usually am not the first person to work with them. It's they tell me what you've done, a podcast and course and this and that and the other, and it's cool. So what was great about all that stuff? Because I
Yeah.
want to hear how they handle, what do they appreciate, what did they learn?
Yeah.
But then what stopped you from getting your final result?
Yeah.
Because I need to know, because they hired 273 people and made everybody else wrong and quit. Cool. Then probably I'm not going to be the guy to help you either,
Yeah.
because you'd rather be right than get results. No, I
Yeah.
don't want to be right. Okay, help me understand.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not understanding something. It's fine.
I was talking to a friend that was a counselor, and one of his biggest things that he would have to, when he worked with couples, is he would have to tell them, one of you, preferably both of you, have got to learn how to give up your right to be right.
Yep.
And until that happens, we're not going to make progress.
Yeah. With couples, you have to have an aligned vision, because then we're pulling the same direction. Because if
Mhm.
he's this way and she's that way, more energy is just going to tear you two apart. So I usually will kill the whole concept of a power couple, because power couples almost always devolve into, they're basically dueling providers. And look how much I'm sacrificing, and look how much I'm giving, and you owe me, and I'm not going to give to you until you give to me, and you validate me, and you appreciate me. But they're both doing it, and they're so in their silo. And it's, no, we got to kill that whole structure and replace it with a power partnership.
Yeah.
If you tell me about them and what you admire and what's so amazing, now, if you fill her to overflowing, how is she going to show up for you? If she
Mhm.
fills you to overflowing, how are you going to show up for her?
No.
And I'll do that separately before I do it together, because I don't want them poisoning the conversation. I really want to get them in a place of appreciation and tell me about how you got married.
Yeah.
Why'd you get married? What was the feeling? Because if you do at the beginning, right? Whatever you did at the beginning, if you do at the end, there's not going to be an end.
Yeah.
But we fall into entitlement, and we fall into obligation, expectation. And once somebody is entitled to you and your energy, your time, your money, your attitude, your thoughts, your body, your brain, whatever,
Yeah.
the minute we drop into entitlement, the passion dies, because now we're property. And who wants to feel like that? But if the whole entire relationship is always this brinkmanship and this, you owe me because you have to, because you're supposed to,
Yeah.
it's a straitjacket that suffocates and tears you both apart. Is that why you got married? Because you wanted that version of each other? No? How did we get here? Walk it back. And that's
Yeah.
where the road's diverted. Cool. Now we can bring back to alignment.
Yeah. That's the opposite end of the spectrum, because I've seen people that married couples that neither one of them could figure out, whose day it was to feel sorry for who. Yeah. Those drive me crazy.
I don't have time for that. I get it's a vehicle for connection, but it's such a low energy, and who's having a worser day. I was hanging out with some people, and they're older than me by a fair amount.
Mhm.
And all they could talk about was their medical conditions and what medications they're on and the side effects of their medications and what they can't do anymore. And
Yeah.
all I hear in that story is, you guys are just waiting around to die,
Yeah.
because there's no future. There's nothing you're excited about. You're more decrepit. You're less capable. And I'm like, I'm training for the Dopey Challenge, which is a
Yeah.
5K, a 10K, a half, and a full in 4 days. And
Mhm.
my wife and I just figured out, in 6 months, we're going to go do a Spartan race together. And we're going to do like a
Nice.
10K, and there's 25 obstacles. Neither of us have the upper body strength for that. So cool, goals. It's
Yeah.
like, why not? Your body is here. Use it, play with it,
Yeah.
enjoy it, test it, expand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess I just don't have patience for people that have that attitude. And that may be bad on me, but cannot stand to be around people that are, here, I'm sucking on my thumb, here, I've got one for you too.
I'm good.
And yeah, that drives me crazy. Yeah. Again, you brought up your book. Talk about your book just a little bit and make
Yeah.
sure.
So we've got Your Best Child Ever, the only parenting book with a money back guarantee, written in 2012. And before I was married, before I had kids. This is why I put the guarantee on it, because the stuff works.
Yeah.
And if you can break it, I want to hear about it, because then I'm going to make it better. That's
Yeah.
my attitude with this. Lead Like a King is coming out between now and the end of the year. This is a series of case studies with past clients, all identity protected. And I'm revamping it. It's just going to be 36 case studies, 9 steps, 3 for the boy, 3 for the man, 3 for the king. How does this really show up? And so we're going to have stories of transformation. And there's action steps for you. What can you do in your own life to make things easier, make things better?
Yeah.
I also have a book that I put out online this year. It's called The Silent Throne, and it's on YouTube. You can listen to it for free. And it's
Okay.
about a guy successful in business, and he's coming home and realizes the emotional emptiness in his house, the silence.
Mhm.
And how does he recover it back to a thriving kingdom with his wife, his son, and his daughter?
Yeah.
And so this was built on some client transformations, and I just wove it into a story it's like The Alchemist for the modern man, to
Mhm.
really go through and who do you want to be? Where do you want to be? And there's some questions in there for you to go through on your own and think about, and how do you elevate your life?
Yeah.
And I put it out free because I wrote it around Father's Day. In my network, a couple of men ended their lives
Um,
right around Father's Day. I think it
yeah.
was, I had between me and some extended friends, 6 or 7 men ended their lives. And it's 10 divorced dads a day end themselves. And their kids are now 40 to 60% more likely to do the same. And if they don't end themselves, their quality of life is massively diminished. Drugs, alcohol, premarital sex, addiction, anxiety, depression, self-worth issues. It's ugly, and the
Yeah.
world needs dads. And
Yeah.
so I put that book out for free. There's a paid version on Amazon if people want to get it, but that's not what it's there for.
Yeah.
And when I see those posts and no one cares about men, I'm like, bull crap. Here's a
Mhm.
book for free. Go listen to it. It's 2 hours. Do what it says. Just engage with it. No cost, no obligation. You don't even have to subscribe to my channel. Just fricking watch it,
Yeah.
because it's just so much danger. And the thing I would say to everyone listening, if you've built success, but you know the cost, right? Maybe your marriage is distant. Maybe you've lost your fire. You're tired of being the strong one that no one talks to. Reach
Mhm.
out. I do private deep dive sessions for men who are ready to stop performing and start leading.
Yeah.
And I have what I call the King's Compass. Leadlikeaking.com/quiz. Super easy. And when you reach out, I don't need to see your resume. I just want
Yeah.
to hear your truth. And we can build from that place. No judgment, no fault, no blame, no guilt, no shame. Just understanding and expansion.
Yeah. Tell people how to get a hold of you, and what's the name of your YouTube channel as well, if people want to go to
It's
that.
my last, this is just at Jeremy Roadruck. So first name, last name. Just Google me. I'm literally the only Jeremy Roadruck on the internet. I'm most active on Facebook. Jeremy R. The Kung Fu Guy is my personal page. I've got stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
And so LinkedIn and Facebook are where I'm most active. And take the Lead Like a King quiz. It's literally 2 to 4 minutes, 9 questions, and it will help you get a reality check on where are you strong and where are you struggling, so you can actually build from a place of clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you again for coming on. This has been an absolutely awesome interview, and I feel like there's so many golden nuggets for people to be able to walk away with. I know that I've learned a few things, and it's allowed
Sweet.
me to take a step back and consider some things. It's always nice to have a different perspective. Sometimes it's just a little different version of something that you may already know, but for a lot of people, it's hearing that they're not the only one going through it, and being
Absolutely.
able to know that, you know what, there's some answers out there for me, and I can
Yeah.
continue to move forward.
Yeah. So many men think they're the only one. I've actually just started a dad dilemma hotline. I've got a form, leadlikeaking.com/DD, so designated driver, but DD, and you can ask questions anonymously. Here's my challenge. Here's what I'm going through. And every week on a Monday, here's a dad dilemma. And I just go through and if someone's asked a question this week, I'll go find posts where I'm active on Facebook and a dad who's struggling with a thing, and I'll write a reply and I'll record it and send it out, because
Yeah.
men are killing themselves for a lack of answers. It's
Yeah.
literally their BS, their belief system, their story that says everyone's life is better without me. And that's categorically false.
The aftermath and the damage that they leave behind is just so catastrophic.
Absolutely. And it just doesn't, and I've been there. I've been on the edge of that, of like, why am I even doing all the things I'm doing? Does
Yeah.
it even matter? I think any man worth his salt has considered it. And if he's
Mhm.
wise, he rejects it, because you take that action, there's no coming back, there's no recovery,
Yeah.
and whatever's going on gets locked.
Yeah.
Versus good, bad, or sideways, I want to be here to see the next step. I want to see the next day, because I still have a voice. I still have a capacity.
And at the very least, I know some people that the thought of, if you've got kids, don't do that to your kids. They're better off with you than without you. I had a conversation with a young lady last weekend. My older daughter got married, and it was one of her bridesmaids. It was pouring down rain. She actually ended up wrecking her car. I went and got her. She was in my vehicle, and I drove her home. We had a conversation because she's had to live with, as a young lady, her father committed suicide, but a couple of days before he committed suicide, made some statements that no father should ever say to their daughter. And, that you're never going to amount to anything. You're not ever going to succeed. And then 2 days later, he's gone. And
Right.
then that young lady has spent her entire life trying to make up those statements for somebody that's not even here anymore. I told her that. I said, you're not living for you. You're living for somebody that will never see. I said, so you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You need to be doing it for you, not for him.
And more than likely, that was his wound speaking in that moment.
Yeah.
And it pushed him so hard that he took a final solution to his pain and his problems.
Yeah.
But now he dropped a landmine in her heart and her mind and her nervous system that until it's resolved, she's going to carry. And until she takes back the power, he's the only one that can free her from the prison, but he's not there anymore to do.
Yeah. And I hope, not that there was anything that I think that I said that was going to be absolutely life-changing for her, but I'm hoping that maybe reframing the thought process of why she's doing the things that she's doing to succeed. She's a very smart young lady. She's going to school, college. She's got goals, but getting her to reframe why she's doing what she's doing and who she's doing it for, hopefully gives her a better energy and drive in the right direction.
No, that's beautiful. And as a masculine role model, because she knows your daughter, you're a quote unquote uncle to her masculine model in her mind. Right now, she's achieving to be happy, and maybe she can learn to happily achieve.
Absolutely.
Having done both, it's a lot more fun to just go happily achieve. Achieving to be happy, your joy is tied up in so many other people's hands. It's just miserable, and you can never truly have it because there's one person says one thing and now it's gone again. Versus, happiness can be a decision instead of a destination. You just decide it's the way I'm traveling because I like me and I like to see what's going on. So I'm going to bring that with me. Thanks.
Yeah. I love the way you put that. So
thank you.
Again, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And please, anybody that is out there, please reach out to Jeremy and allow him to be able to guide you through those processes. And you'll definitely go out and look at his YouTube page and look for his books. There's always, I've found with every guest that's come on, they always have something different that is out there for somebody. And if anything resonated with you today, please take advantage of that, reach out to him and allow him to be able to reach you as well. So with that, it is time to come to a close. Jeremy, thank you again for coming on. And with that, until next time, this is The Approach.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Approach. Please hit that like button and subscribe for the latest episodes. If you would like to be a guest or would like for Dr. McAlister to speak at your business or event, you can email him at info@drdavismcallister.com. You can also go to his website at drdavismcallister.com.